Good afternoon. It's another episode of our What's Trending in Nigeria and across Africa. I am Mr. Barry, your host, and with me I have
Okoro Fidelis.
Chimero. Welcome to Touchlight News. Within a week, we have a very wonderful story that occurred. There are so many stories that have been trending, but I want us to discuss about the very recent and the most interesting story that is still hitting the internet and the social media platforms as we speak. I would like us to discuss about His Excellency Chief Barrister Nyesom Wike and the Naval officer Yerima himself. Mr. Henry, the video of this incident is everywhere on the social media platforms. Have you come across any of them, and what do you see?
Yeah, I saw a few of what transpired. Is nothing to write home about because as a an FCT minister, he has his right as an FCT minister. Then on the other hand, the military man, Lieutenant Yerima, I believe was acting based on instruction because the land itself, according to report, is being owned by the former retired Naval chief officer. So Wike coming to the scene for us to see what we saw through that scenario isn't something to write home about, and I don't think that we showed a good spotlight on the Mr. FCT minister.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fidelis. From what you saw there, how can you describe what you view?
Okay, yes, as you said, what I saw, I thought I'm going to ask you what I saw. Yes, it's basically any Nigerian without a phone that could say, not have seen, or without access to internet, that be with a phone without an access to internet, that will say he or she has not seen the trending video of the altercation between the FCT minister and the young commission officer, Lieutenant A.M. Yerima. It's an interesting one. Interesting is that someone like the FCT minister has been someone known to have his way. So we saw a situation yesterday where his all powers, almighty Wike was put on a stopped, and no one used the word humbled. It was not a very, very good scene seeing him ranting and seeing a young officer, maybe someone almost at the age of, I'm sure that maybe it's the age mate of one of Wike's children or sons, just calmly responding. So it's very interesting when I saw it, and I feel that the event as someone that is quite exposed, there's something that is quite exposed. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Fidelis, have me come back to you.
Okay.
From what you viewed yesterday and what we all saw on the internet, was Yerima's response to His Excellency Barrister Nyesom Wike? Was his response okay based on his high profile in the politics of Nigeria and him as a person?
Okay, talking about the response of the young officer, you could see how calm and collected he was. I think any person that is right thinking will understand the fact that a military officer needs to be resolute, needs to know his right, and needs to stand on that right. And that is what Lieutenant Yerima exhibited. On his actions, I think you could see from the Defense Headquarters handle that they posted a picture which shows tacit support of him. They said unshaken, unbent, unbroken in that handle those posts. That is exactly what Yerima exhibited. He was unshaken, even with the rant of the minister. The minister was ranting. He was unbroken, even despite the calls coming from high places. He knows that he was unbent in his orders. He's a military person. You know, in military, they don't joke with orders, especially when given from a constituted authority. And you saw his actions, even trying to enlighten the minister. There's a speech of him telling him, let me enlighten you, sir, that once there's something like former vice admiral. And for knowledge sake, a vice admiral is like a lieutenant general. You get to that, the next position is a general, and it's only the CDS president that have general rank in Nigeria. So you could know the top person coming, and that's it. That's it. It's something that something we should encourage. That level of professionalism from our military, and it brought people for the first time. People are heading our military. Yes, when people
think. Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Henry. What's your take on this?
Well, after seeing the video, the gentleman, the Lieutenant Yerima, was brave. From my own side of the, he was very brave because some military personnel might not be able to, stand their ground, knowing the fact that Wike has always had his way when it comes to all these type of altercations. But for the fact that he stood his ground and knowing his rights, he was really brave. The other side of it now, Nyesom Wike for the first time saw that this guy was really brave and decided to allow him, because he assumed the guy wasn't brave, he would have continued ranting at the military personnel. I think the guy was really brave.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contributions. And from what I saw yesterday, I discovered Nyesom Wike was very, very angry. And out of anger, he picked up his phone to take a call. And now the question is, what was Wike expecting when he picked up his phone to call the Chief of Defense Staff, Mr. Fidelis? What was he expecting from the Chief of Defense Staff? Haven't picked up his phone to take the call.
Okay, the average Nigerian politician have always had this way when it comes to we the masses and virtually everything in Nigeria. They reign supreme. So I think what Wike was expecting was a direct order coming from the Chief of Defense Staff saying you are directed by the highest, after the commander-in-chief in the military apparatus is the Chief of Defense Staff. I am directing you to leave that premises. But kudos to the Chief of Staff and kudos to the level of discipline that exists in the military. He never had that. You could see some level of disappointment when he gave the young officer the phone. He was expecting that CDS would direct, hey, you leave that place. But it never came. And I want to pinpoint something. It comes to what the chief of the young man taught Wike. He told him that there is nothing like retired vice admiral, meaning that the chief of defense staff, having heard that this order was given by vice admiral, whether he knows the vice admiral or not, he will give some level of respect to the person's rank. To remind us, Wike that is claiming former vice admiral, there's a part in the military that when you're leaving the service, they will tell you that you can be called upon to serve if need be. And Wike has been a beneficiary of the service of someone that has served. You remember what happened in River State a few months ago, where there was state of emergency. The president looked and went back to former chief of Naval staff. I think the person that handed over to the supposedly accused owner of the land, Subaru Gambo, Vice Admiral Gambo. His predecessor was Airport, the person that said the reverse. He was called upon and he came and delivered his duty, which I know that he favored Wike politically. So Wike was thinking that a chief of defense staff will give a directive for the boy to do. Unfortunately, he didn't get that. And I want to let Nigerians know, if you have any understanding of the military, and that top echelon of the military is like a court. They respect each other. The CDS also recognizes the fact that any moment it's a politics, now like a political position. It can be not, I don't want to use the word sacked, he can be told to leave. And when he leaves, he become also former chief of defense staff and former general. So would he want somebody also to disobey his own orders, a junior officer, maybe because he's not serving correctly? That's it was disappointing that we because
Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Henry.
Yeah, my own little conclusion is that His Excellency Mr. Nyesom Wike is one politician in the country that many recognize that uses his power when he wants to get things personally. But this one, he couldn't maneuver this one because at the end of the day, no, he couldn't maneuver it. It was obvious. It was obvious. That was why you saw how angry he was. He couldn't maneuver this one. But he said, okay, I'm a minister. I know people. Let me call the chief of defense staff so that he will call the young man to leave the cell. But at the end of the day, he was disappointed because the young man that was there wasn't there on his own accord. He was there based on instruction. Was there based on instructions. At the end of the day, Nyesom Wike was really disappointed because what he thought he could have gotten, he didn't get at the end.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, on the video we saw yesterday, during their conversations, there were so many arguments, misunderstanding between the aides and the rest of them. But there was something that Wike did that I don't know if it's right for him as a father, a leader, and a one-time governor of Rivers State. Now, on the air, he was open to the air. Everybody listening to him, both in Nigeria and across Nigeria, when he said, called Yerima a fool. Now, what's your take on Wike calling Yerima a fool on open air, Mr. Henry?
That is Nyesom Wike for you. That is his personality. So Yerima is not the first person that Nyesom Wike has insulted openly by calling him a fool. Because even some of his political allies, he calls them fools, at his own way. So it is not a new thing for us. But at the end of the day, he was really disappointed because what he thought was going to happen didn't happen. And the young man knew that he wasn't a fool that yesterday. So he just allowed Nyesom Wike to rant while he was there now, showcasing his response. So that is it.
Okay, Mr. Phillips.
Okay, I think the first response I will give on that is to quote AM Yerima Lieutenant. He said, I am not a fool, sir. I think our military men and trained officers are not fools. Yes. It is very disappointing of someone of biggest caliber and level to not respect the uniform the young man was wearing. It goes beyond the young man. It goes beyond the morale of our military. If politicians or without minding whomever it is could wake up and disrespect the uniform, the service that those young men, the risks they are taking, it's not easy. Whether we like it or not, these young men are risking their lives. We've had cases of, I have had a personal friend who lost his life in service to the country along Boronu, one of the villages in Boronu, trying to serve. My coursemate in then in school. It's very painful. So the risk these young men are taking are something that you should, if for nothing else, respect the uniform. I don't think it's something I'm not happy about that, calling the young man a fool. And I think he might have started getting a benefit of afterthought. Like he might be regretting the act because news are coming out that it's now banning people from going to video. Maybe if it had happened without video being out, wouldn't have known. But that wouldn't have even happened in the first instance. Whether it is made, you should respect the officer that serves to protect his life. He is thinking powerful. When the young man started, what did he do? It's because of people carrying guns around him. As Wike, how many people can he beat? It's those people. So it is very, 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 very unfortunate. And I think, as Burata said, the former chief of army staff, he owes the young man and the military an apology for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your contributions. Thank you for all you said. But before we come to an end, I have another question. I haven't seen what happened yesterday, the debates, the arguments, the insults, and all that happens yesterday. Now, the question now is, what do you think will be the outcome on either Nyesom Wike, the Minister of FCT, or Yerima, the Naval officer, Mr. Fidelity?
Okay. The unfortunate thing about this whole thing is that our politicians, Nyesom Wike being one of them, we say nothing they happen. Nothing will happen on this Wike's end. He might not even apologize. That is that unfortunate. I think, except if President Tinubu gives a direct order to him to apologize. If not, if it is what me and you and other Nigerians are talking on social media or other forms of media, I don't think Wike is arrogant. We apologize. It's the truth. So on Yerima, many people have been thinking he will be disciplined. Yes, maybe if you understand how service works in Nigeria, you know that, and how slighted Wike felt. If you look at Wike, you know that he will make more calls than the CDS. There may be direct calls to Ministry of Defense trying to put an unquote handle or punish the said young man. He's felt slighted. But I don't think anything like that will happen to the young man because, as I said, both in the tacit support are already coming from the defense headquarters and at least on Twitter. Then there's now, most recently, the Minister of Defense, who is a colleague of Wike, giving a direct support on the young man. So far, he's acting on justified order and performing his duty, which is exactly what the young man was doing. So on his own, I think he has become a celebrity naval officer, a celebrity military officer. He has been known by Nigerians. He will start receiving some pledging to give him money. Officer of the year. You understand? So if he's any day he goes to maybe a club, if someone that goes to club, he will receive free drinks. So these are things that will come to him. But beyond that, I think the military needed this. They need Nigerian support. This is an opportunity for the military. It goes beyond the young man. In Wike's angle and without minding his position, he's in total wrong in my mind. Why? He can also have his way about the land. Yes, by the 1979 Act, Land Use Act, the land belongs to the governor, which by Wike's position is like the Federal Capital Territory governor now. So he has jurisdiction over the same lands, almost all lands in Abuja. That's the implication of our constitution. But there are approaches to them. Wike could have written the Ministry of Defense, who would follow up the something. Might be the Ministry of Defense, I would call the Chief of Defense staff, or even call the state owner of the land. And these things will be resolved. I'm not thinking you're all powerful to start going there and embarrass yourself. That is the biggest implication outcome is that Wike has embarrassed himself. Whether he apologized or not, Nigerians, people that don't like him are celebrating his embarrassment. While the young officer who received better positioning, he's now someone known for his integrity, for his strong will. Expect the young man to rise very fast.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hero.
Yeah, my own little thoughts. Like I always say, Nyesom Wike is a man that likes this type of intimidation, as the case may be. And yesterday's incident, he has seen a young man who was brave enough to stand his ground. Because some young military officer maybe may have to come to Nyesom Wike. But that yesterday, this young man stood his ground. Sir, I am here to exercise my duties, and I'm going to do it, which he did diligently. So I call him brave again, and I believe that the military should celebrate him now for what he did yesterday, and the other military personnel should also learn that as a military personnel, you have your own right to, you have an integrity to showcase. And the other side, Nyesom Wike has really embarrassed himself because he always come out to say, I get whatever thing I want to get. For yesterday, I couldn't get what he wanted.
At least for now.
All right.
He might end up getting access to the land.
Okay. Thank you so much for your wonderful contributions. We've said it all, and I'll leave the rest of the program for our viewers to drop their comments, your thoughts about what happens yesterday. Drop it at the comment section, and please don't forget to share this to others to see and hear what happens yesterday. Drop their comments, click the like button, the follow button. On Facebook, we are Torchlight News. On our X, we are at Torchlight News _. On Instagram, we are Torchlight News NG. On our YouTube, we are Torchlight News. And on you can also visit our website on www.touchlightnews.com. Thank you and do have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.